me start the recording. Okay, so I am so super excited to have Rachael Neagle. Am I saying that correctly? I hope so. Yes, yay! On our team call tonight. You guys, she is amazing. Not only is she amazing because she's just one of the awesome diamonds in our company, but she has incredible knowledge about so many things with our products, with women's health. Rachael is one of those people that when I struggled with thyroid and when I first got on the products, really probably even a year ago, I was questioning her about different things. I go to her. She's one of those people that a lot of us go to. A lot of the jewels on the team will say, ask Rachael, because she gets so much. She is when I say she's a jewel dab on the call, I'm not talking about a diamond. I'm talking about like gold. Like, she's just amazing. So the fact that she said yes to being on this call for us is huge. And I am so excited for her to share her story. And then also, we're going to do a few questions and answers as well. But I want her to just share her heart, how she got to where she is, and just tell us about her journey. I want you guys to hear that. I think it's so good for us to hear other people's journeys and how they got to where they are. So, Rachael, do you want me to leave you like this, or do you want me to blow you up? Do you care which way it is? Okay, let me unmute, actually. There we go. Oh, you were unmuted. Just kidding. Okay, you had already done it. Sorry. Okay, so Rachael, go ahead and take it away. I'll probably leave you. How do you guys like it? I always change it up and I never know what's best. Do you like her big or do you like her small? If you like her big, do this. Everybody likes you big. Okay, we're going to go big. Okay. Hang on just a second. I just shrunk that. Oh my goodness. Speaker view. There we go. All right, so Rachael, it is your turn.
Okay. Well, I'm so excited. Your wonderful sponsor, Heather, is one of my favorite people of all time. She's just absolutely authentic and amazing. And so I'm humbled by her introduction of me. But I'll just share a little bit with you guys about my story and my background because, when she refers to me knowing a lot about thyroid or being the person that people go to ask questions about hormones, this is not because I am a nurse or a doctor or a practitioner of any kind. I jokingly tell people that I kind of went through Lemony Snicket's school of unfortunate events with my health. And it's because of that, when you go from doctor's office to doctor's office to doctor's office and nobody can tell you what is wrong with you, and the only medications that they want to give you are really stuff to treat, like an antidepressant or something like that. And at the core of your being that there's more to the issue than that. That was the situation that I was in. And so before I found Plexus, I tell people this story, and this came to me at an opportunity meeting where I was sharing, and I remembered something, and I thought, man, I need to remember to share that because that's powerful. And so it was in about November of 2012. I had she was just over 1-year-old baby girl. And I think I'd hired a babysitter for the day. And like a lot of, new moms, postpartum moms, where do we go? We go to Target so we can get Starbucks and we can wander aimlessly through the aisles of Target. We're really not there to buy anything. We're just there because it's like a respite for moms. I realize that's the exact opposite for men. But I found myself standing, the aisle where they have like all the clearance stuff. And it was November, so we were looking ahead towards Christmas. And there were these two like miniature bean bags that looked like teddy bears. They were so cute, and they were on clearance. And I think they'd been originally like $50. And, I think they were maybe $20 each at that point. And the second that I saw them, I, of course, thought, oh my gosh, this would be perfect for my kiddos. I also had a 4-year-old little boy at the time. And I could see, you imagine Christmas morning, them coming out and seeing these teddy bears. And so I scooped them up and I put them in my basket. And I probably took about 10 steps down the aisle when, if you've struggled with anxiety, if you've struggled with depression, this it was like a wall of fear came over me. And I was like, I can't get those bears. Like in my mind, I literally thought if I spent $40 on those bears, it was going to completely and totally derail my family financially. I had to quit my job. I was a teacher for the school district. And after I had my daughter, it became evident after my maternity leave that I was not going to be able to go back because managing the symptoms of the anxiety disorder were just too profound. And so I say all of that, I share all of that with you guys because I want you to know a little bit about where I came from physically before Plexus, but also financially. So like I said, these bears were discounted to like $20. And y'all, I just couldn't make a decision. I can't even tell you how many times I picked them up. I put them back on the shelf. I got them back off. I put them back on the shelf. I got them back off. And it was so bad that I finally called my husband, who, by the way, at the time was working 2 jobs, one as an ICU nurse and the other as a part-time worship leader at our church. And I had to call him at his hospital job and get them to page him to come to the phone to ask if I could buy these bears. And of course, he, instead of laughing at me, was very kind and was like, yes, we can get them. And don't worry about upcoming Christmas. I can pick up extra shifts. I'll be playing the Christmas Eve, thing at the church. I'll get paid extra for that. And so that's really where my family was at. It was like we would try to get ahead financially, but it was like robbing Peter to pay Paul. In the meantime, we really wanted to figure out what was going on with me, and conventional medicine had kind of failed us. So that was when I started on a more holistic path. Well, that's great, but none of those people take insurance. So, a single doctor's visit, you're looking at $100, $200. So fast forward to a year later, my family had relocated to Lubbock, Texas, where we live now. I was able to return to work because I'd started working with this holistic doctor who'd gotten me to, I tell people, about 85%. The really scary symptoms were no longer hanging around, but I still struggled with fatigue. I still crashed every day around 3:00. And I had, some vanity weight from having babies that I wanted to get rid of. And like I said, I had returned to my job, and that was great. But then, life happens, and we had a car. We had been super responsible young people and bought a Honda because they're supposed to run forever. And guess what? Our Honda didn't run forever. It kicked the bucket at 100,000 miles just as it was paid off. So we took on a very unexpected car payment, and we felt like we were right back in that same situation again where we couldn't get ahead financially. And so I feel like it was just kind of this perfect situation that the Lord set me up for when I discovered Plexus, because I had done everything that I knew to do up to that point in terms of tweaking my thyroid, working with my adrenals, getting enough sleep, trying to incorporate exercise. And I saw somebody that I really trusted that kind of was holistically minded like me start to post about Plexus on Facebook. And so I reached out to her, and I'm a very big skeptic. I'm a green personality. So I, was like, let me do some research on that. And I'll get back to you about it, and really set out trying to prove to myself why I couldn't take this product. And instead it was like everything that because literally I went ingredient by ingredient. Like, I'm not even kidding. And that was just the slim, that poor girl. And so, anyway, I finally was like, okay, I'll take the leap, but I was only going to do it at retail because I didn't want to get locked into something every month. And the only reason I did it was because of the money back guarantee. And so I started taking the product just slim initially. And within, my husband and I say probably within about 2 weeks, he was like, what are you doing different? Like, you're just different. You're happier. Your mood is better. Instead of, taking a nap at 4:00 in the afternoon, I was getting up and going to the gym at 4:00, and I was cooking dinner. And so at that point it was like, okay, we know that we need you on these products. How are we going to pay for them? So my sponsor assured me that if I could get 3 to 5 people to purchase, that I could cover the cost of my own products. And so I did something that I swore I would never, ever, ever do, which was join a network marketing company. And so that would have been 3 years ago in January. I started posting first like in a private Facebook group that I created. But let me tell you, there is nothing that will embolden you like a paycheck. So once I started, getting customers and getting people that wanted to jump on board, I took it to, my main Facebook page, and things started to take off. By May of that year, so I joined January 25th. By the end of May, I had hit Senior Ruby and attended my first convention, which was in Dallas that year. And I sat and I listened to all of these incredible people who I'd been following on Facebook, and it was so cool to see them in person for the first time. And there was a lot of people that, that blessed me, that educated me, but there was one person that really stood out to me, and that was Sonia Dudley. And this is why. Because she got up there and she talked about the fact that she wanted all of us to have the kind of freedom in our finances that we could walk into Walmart, and if we saw something that we wanted, we could put it in our basket and have no fear and no worry about if there was the money to afford it. And just like that, I was back in that aisle at Target, agonizing over those 2 bears and really thanking God that not only had he brought me so far with my health, where, that was like a lifetime ago, but also that we had that kind of freedom. And so I got back from convention. We had the money for the first time to join a private swim club for the summer. And I went to Costco and I bought every single one of us, 4 of us in our family, brand new, big, fluffy, white beach towels, because by God, we were not going to be the people at the swim club with ratty towels. And I put them in my basket, and I got a little puddle jumper for my little girl. And y'all, that for me was my line in the sand moment. That was the moment when I was like, I'm taking this thing to the top, and nothing is going to hold me back. So that's just a little bit about my story. If y'all have some questions, I would love to answer them. Oh, I can't hear you. You're muted.
That would be good. Thank you. I'm over here talking to myself. Yeah, my kids, everybody, I don't want to go to bed. So I was trying to deal with that. I had to mute myself. I have a couple questions that I wanted to ask. And then I want to possibly open it up if we have time. So first of all, I normally don't ask this question, but my mom was like, Heather, I'm a red personality and I would like to know. But my biggest thing is everyone's journey is so different. So I hate to have timelines to compare. Mm-hmm. But my mom was curious, what does your timeline look like? I know that convention was 3 years ago, almost 4 years ago in Dallas, right?
Yeah. I'm one of those people that hit Emerald really fast. Mm-hmm. And I think that they're so, we can always go back to the tortoise and the hare comparison. Right. And I really do think that it is of value, because I've seen the same thing happen with people on my own team who grew really fast, really quickly, who were promoted with the company 6 times in 4 months. The month that I went Senior Ruby, I also went Ruby. So I double ranked that month. Attrition is a natural part of this business, and it will catch up to you at some point. And it's usually around the year mark. And so I took off really quickly. I hit Emerald, and I had seen my sponsors. My sponsor is Becky Page, and I actually went Emerald before she did. She was just right behind me. But I had seen Andrea Mitchell and Rosalind Payne, who, were also I'm their level 3 and 2. They just were promoting like crazy. And so I hit Emerald, and I thought, I didn't even go get my car, because I thought, I'm just going to wait and I'm going to get the diamond one, because I'll probably be diamond in 3 or 4 months. And y'all, it didn't happen. It did not happen. It took me 10 months to go from Emerald to Sapphire. And then it took 11 months to go Emerald to Sapphire. And then it took 8 to go from sapphire to diamond. And of course, we had back office that hit in the midst of that. That was, that was certainly a part of it. But truthfully, I think that when you have people that are growing really, really quickly, like I said, a lot of times the attrition, I can remember being senior Ruby and I think I had 12 white lines in my entire organization. And then the next thing I know, there were like 200. And it was like, what the heck is going on? And we were still doing the income producing activities. We were still doing, we were still blowing and going. Now, I did have my fastest growing leg at that point encountered some health problems. And so her business slowed down. So that's my timeline. I feel like I have experienced both really fast growth and more slow and steady. And even though we tend to put the people that grow super fast on a pedestal, attrition catches up with everybody at some point.
That's right. That's right. And the truth of it is, again, just compare as far as not comparing journeys, but yet looking at different journeys, I think is important. So for example, for me, I hit Emerald over 2 years ago. And so it is, almost 2 years ago. I don't know, 3 years ago. I don't even know. It's been a while. I've been at Emerald for a while. And that's okay because the journey and what I'm learning is good and the growth that's happening with me is good. And so I think that that's what's important more than how fast did you get to a certain level. My mom said not quite 2 years. I'm glad she knows. So anyway, the journey and how you grow at each level, I think is what's so important. So thank you for sharing that. I love that. I also wanted to just mention, so you guys, I don't know if y'all remember, but back when they sent me to Jules training, when they first started Jules training with Plexus, Rachael was at the Jules training with me and my mom in Dallas. And Rachael tell me what it was called during the training.
It's called broken heart syndrome. And so I basically got up and I was sharing, they were having us kind of redefine our whys. And so I got up to share, they always say it's a why that should make you cry. I joke now and say, but not make you die. That's like probably in poor taste, but I got up to share about my why, and it was something very personal to me. And when I sat down, and y'all, I'm not afraid of public speaking, like the least little bit. I've been a pastor's wife for almost 20 years. I, earned a scholarship to college in speech and debate. So public speaking is not, my fear. And so the second I sat down, I had like crushing chest pain. And my sponsor, Becky Page, is a counselor. And she was like, you're having a panic attack. It's too much adrenaline. Let's just go walk it off. And so that's what we did. And we broke for lunch that day. And I just thought, you have to listen to that still small voice. And there was just something that just kept saying, you have 2 kids at home, like little kids at home, and they need you. And so I Ubered from our hotel to an urgent care, and I walked in and said, I'm either having a heart attack or I'm having a panic attack, and I'm not sure which one. And of course, they looked at me like, you're not having a heart attack. But the symptoms that I was describing were so consistent with it that they went ahead and sent me to a cardiologist who then sent me for blood work. And y'all, I went back to my hotel room and slept by myself alone that night. And I got up the next morning, and while we were sitting in Jewel training, the doctor called and said, we've gotten your blood work back and you've had a heart attack. So they assumed that it was a cardiac blockage, that there was something in my heart. Yes, Takotsubo syndrome, exactly. And what had happened is that when I got up to speak, a surge of hormones basically hit my heart, and it paralyzed one of I think it's my ventricle, I can't remember, aorta, I don't know. And so when they got in there to do the angiogram, they were able to determine what it was. And I spent the night in the hospital, and they sent me home the next day. So, and they said that they've never seen it happen to anybody twice. So that's good news.
That's so crazy. So the thing that I love about that story, 2 things. Something was so passionate within Rachael about Plexus, that when she's sharing something this traumatic happened to her, not that that's a good thing, but to me, like, y'all, your why, we talked about whys last week. Your why should be very strong. Like, in the sense of, in this situation, we're talking like medical strong. And now she's saying, you know, it's funny because like it shouldn't make you die. But if your why is not serious, like put some serious passion in you and light your fire, it should. Okay, that's one thing. The other side of that is, don't you feel like now you're even more passionate about these products? Like I've heard you share at this point, and I'm like, man, like I almost feel like you're almost a little bit of a different person, you know, like you really believe.
Yeah, and that was one of the things, you know, that was really important for me to understand was, I mean, because of the products, I mean, pre-Plexus, I was borderline, I was pre-diabetic, you know, my cholesterol wasn't it wasn't in the negative ranges yet, but it wasn't looking great. And so when they looked at all my blood work, when this happened, it was like I had the lipid profile of like a 14-year-old. Like it was great. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, I definitely attribute that to the products. And I think it's just really important if you are going to encounter, I mean, we never know what life is going to throw at us. And if you are going to encounter something that is traumatic or that is hard, you want to make sure that your body's in the best physical shape that it can possibly be in. Mm. But yeah, definitely. I mean, it's really important for me and always has been to understand how the products work or to understand why they work. Now, I don't have to do it on some, you know, molecular level, but I get excited when I hear somebody say that they're struggling with something because I think I know how I can help you. And the only thing that makes going through hard times like that okay is if you come out of it with some kind of an answer and an ability to help somebody else. And that's really what I'm passionate about.
That's so good. Yes, I like that. Yay. Okay, so I know that you said it was something you would never do, network marketing. Mm-hmm. How do you feel now on the other side?
Oh, I mean, here's the thing. My problem with it before was two things. My mother, who I love, so I have a sister who is profoundly handicapped. She is almost 40 years old. She has cerebral palsy, and it's like the worst, like a level 6 CP person. She's never walked, talked, anything. And so, you know, her life expectancy was like that of a 15-year-old. Was like that she would only live to be 15. I mean, and so here she is today at almost 40 years old. But there was a time about 10 years ago when she got really, really sick and we thought that we were going to lose her. My mom was a superintendent with a school district where she didn't have a great relationship with her board. And so she just made the decision to go ahead and retire because she thought whatever time Jessica has left, I want to spend with her. And about that time, somebody had come to her with another network marketing product. It was a company called Manatech, and they really do have some great products. They're super expensive. So she jumped on board to get the discount and decided that she would try her hand at working it as a business and ended up filing for bankruptcy. It was that bad. And so that, if anything's going to poison you towards network marketing, that's going to be one of them. And the other thing was I had just never seen anybody make it in network marketing. I'd never seen anybody be successful at it. And so it's hard to have belief when you're like, okay, I know 50 people who do this and none of them are making any money. So like I said, when I jumped on board with Plexus, it was never that I thought that I was going to be a diamond. It was, I literally remember the feeling of relief because I had set my backup order to conditional. And when I got my first triplex customer and I was like, okay, that thing's not going to ship. Like, whew, you know, I got to make a little money first. Now on the other side of it, I think that people are crazy not to do network marketing. But I think you got to be really, really savvy about who you sign on with. And I didn't understand anything about, it's the Lord's sheer provision that it was with Plexus because our compensation plan is so phenomenal. But if you sit with somebody or you look, you know, we're in a time right now where we see people leaving and going to other companies. When you start looking at their compensation plans and you just think, this thing has no legs, you know, like it's going to burn out at da 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 da. So, I mean, of course, I would tell anybody that if you're going to do network marketing, you should do Plexus first and foremost. But I definitely have more belief in the industry than I ever have.
That's awesome. That's so true. My mom did a lot of those things as well. She never had any of the bankruptcy and all of that. In fact, she made some money with some things, but you know, I watched her like traveling around and dropping off jewelry at everybody's house after the party and Tupperware and this and that and the other. And I was like, oh my word, I'm not doing all that. So I think the fact that obviously my mom's been so successful, and I think that is right on in saying, there's a lot of things that look like the grass is greener on the other side, but we are here to tell you, like Plexus Comp Plan.
Well, and here's something that I think that is really important, because we look at other businesses, or we see another friend that appears to be having success with a company. You know, I remember seeing a promotion thing for a friend that I had that was doing Young Living. And so I reached out to her because it was like $3,000 bonus. Well, y'all, she got $3,000 in oils. She didn't get cash. She got product. And I don't want to be paid in product. Like, I want to be paid in money. And there's a lot of companies where that's the deal. You know, they're like, okay, here's 4 boxes of night cream. You can turn around and hawk them to your friends and make the money that way. And I just don't think that's fair.
Right. That's so true. That's so true. Okay, well, Rachael, if you have maybe 5 to 10 more minutes, I'm going to open it up and let a couple people ask questions who might have them. Here, I can go back to gallery view so I can see. But if you have a question that you want to ask for Rachael that's really for the good of the whole group, I would love for you to unmute yourself and ask it. Anybody? Becky Farmer. Let me unmute you. Oh, you got it.
I got it. Hey, Rachael.
Hey.
Great to meet you. I just have a question. When you were prospecting, and you said, you have to be really selective of who you want, to be on your team and be part of your organization. How did you go about courting those people? Did you set your sights on people and then just go after them and say, you really would be great at this? Or did the Lord just bring them into your life naturally? Or was it a combination of both?
I was really blessed in the beginning that sometimes I look back and I think, was that a blessing, or did it kind of set me up for false expectations? That in the beginning, people came to me. I was doing, and of course, like I look back, I have like the Time Hop app or my Facebook memories, and I look back at the things that I posted, and it was so non-compliant that it's ridiculous. We just didn't know that then. And I think those were the kind of things. I mean, it was like posts that people were like, I'd kind of already built, people knew me, people that knew me, knew my journey. I'd always been very open about what I was going through. And so I would share stuff about thyroid and about this or about that. So when I started incorporating that into my Plexus post, people were like, hey, what is it that you're doing? I'm struggling with that, and this has helped you, so. But in terms of like now how I prospect, because, like most of us, we've in this at the 3-year mark, your warm market, at least the warm market that you began with, it's pretty much tapped at this point. So, now my focus is on finding new warm markets. Mm-hmm. So we moved schools. This year, my kids are at a different school, so meeting other moms and parents through that. My kids are starting to get involved in sports activities, so that's another area. My husband has since left his job as a pastor, and we're attending another church, so that's the opportunity to meet people. So I think that it's just like it is with planting a garden, or if you're a farmer or you're whatever, there are seasons of sowing and there are seasons of reaping. And I began my Plexus journey in a season of reaping what I had sown years before. Now I'm trying to sow into new areas. And, my favorite term for this is relationship marketing, because truly you want to bring people on board that that will stay with you because they believe in you and because they love you and because they know that you love them. And I think just building, I think there's such value in building relationships within your team, within people that you prospect, thinking, why would I want this person on my team? Looking for people who are influencers. And we had a discussion one time about what does it mean when somebody says, well, that person has a lot of influence. I think sometimes we think, oh, that person has a lot of influence because they have a lot of money, or because they're really pretty, or because when truly some of the people that are the most influential are like the mom that stays at home with their kids, and she posts a recipe and she gets 50 comments on it from people wanting to know how it tasted. So I think as you're following people in, your own Facebook network or your life network or whatever, if you see a girl or, a couple or whatever, and they're always going on trips, with other families, or, she's always going on a girls trip or a girls night out, or he's always at some golf thing with, his guy friends, like that's a great person to prospect. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that answered your question or not.
It did. And I've become much more intentional in the people that I want, and all of those are people that I have relationships with, and almost every example you gave of influence are the type of people, because I think it's exactly like you said in the beginning. You may start out like gangbusters, and then your warm market dries up, and all those non-compliant posts in the beginning is how I built my team. Yeah. and now we can't say any of that publicly, so that is an obstacle to overcome. Thank you very much.
But I think it's important to remember, sharing with people while you're talking can look a little different. It's still important to be, I'm not saying go out there and be totally non-compliant when you're having a conversation, but I'm just saying, it's okay to be a little bit more open and stuff about your personal journey.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
When you're talking.
Yeah.
And Rachel, I do want to share with you, Becky, that you just talked to, has lost, where are we, Becky? 90 something pounds on Plexus.
Yeah. It's like, after this weekend, it's probably, I don't even want to talk about it, but no. We have my youngest daughter turned 16 today, and we surprised her with a car. So it's been a feeding frenzy around here this weekend, but over 90 pounds.
That's amazing. Awesome. Congratulations. That's so amazing. Yeah, she's just incredible. Okay, Mom, did you have a question?
Yes, I wanted to tell Rachel, I think rest of most of the team knows, but Rachel is my level 1, and she told me no.
No, Becky.
Becky, I'm sorry.
If Rachel was your level 1, we'd be like,
Becky was my very good friend at church, and I knew that she was heavy, but she was just always happy. She never said anything about her weight. And I never sensed that she was even uncomfortable with her weight. But I, contacted her periodically for over a year. And one day when I called her, she said yes. And I was like, oh my goodness, she said yes. She had a come to Jesus moment in the dressing room of the sporting goods store when she was looking for an outfit to go hunting with her husband. That's what happened. So, just because they say not right now, it doesn't mean no. And I've got another guy I've been working on over a year. So we'll see.
Well, and that's where, we say the fortune is in the follow-up, and it really is. I mean, there'll be lots of people that, say no. No might really mean not right now. I've also had people say yes right away, and it's turned out that it wasn't a good season in their life. Something crazy happened, or, life just took an unexpected turn, and then you have to continue to follow up with them because, maybe now would be a good time for them. I've had people come back to me and say, okay, I want to, can I try to do this again? The hard thing is when you have people that join your team and they do everything that you tell them to do. And it's not happening. It's not taking off. You look at what they're sending people, you look at what they're posting, and that's really, I think, one of the most challenging and one of the most rewarding parts of what we do is not only our own personal development, but when I signed on to this thing, I never thought that I'd be doing Zoom calls, on a Sunday night, or that I would be pouring into people on that level. And so I think if I get asked the question a lot, what do you wish that you knew then that you know now? And my thing is, I used to laugh at the professional development books or the self-help books and stuff like that. And of course, my mom had, bookshelves full of them from her network marketing experience. And I look back now and I think if we started people off from day one with even just one of Maxwell's easy books, or started them off from the get-go with what to say, how to win friends and influence people. Because part of what is going to happen to you along the way is you're going to have to take somebody who has no influence and teach them how to have influence. Or you're going to have to take somebody that, you look at the things that they send people and you think, well, I wouldn't join your team either, and you're going to have to train them on that. And so, it's really, like I said, it's one of the most rewarding parts of this business, but it's also one of the most challenging.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I love that. Oh my goodness. Well, Rachael, I know it's getting late, and I feel bad because I wasted probably 5 minutes at the beginning of the call talking about the storm. But anyway, I know that the team has thoroughly enjoyed having you on. I do have one more question on here. Have you ever had a big chicken list person, and how did you reach out to them? If you can answer that, and then we are going to be finished.
Okay, so what's funny is I have a girl that has been on my chicken list, for a while. And she's young. When she initially was on my chicken list, she was in college, and we didn't really know at that time, how to prospect millennials.
Right.
She got married about a year ago. My husband performed their ceremony. And like I said, she's one of those people that I've always just thought, I didn't know how to, I didn't really have, it's like I knew her, but I didn't have a relationship with her. And so I didn't want to just send a, hey, would you like to join my team kind of message. And she actually messaged me, I guess maybe around Christmas time, and just said, I'd like to learn about the company. I'd like to learn about how you and Michael have done this, And so I'm in the process of back and forthing with her, really working on that relationship. So I would say my best advice, if you've got somebody that is a chicken lister, if you live in the same town with them, see if they'll go to coffee with you, and work on I think so many times we figure out when we're trying to prospect somebody, it's like we're not really listening to them. We're thinking how we can work Plexus into the conversation. But just be patient and really get to know them, get to hear about their life, and wait for the opportunity to reveal itself for you to be able to reach out to that person. Now, I will say that Ellen Ford, if y'all haven't had her on a call yet, you should. She is absolutely amazing, and she's fearless in her recruiting. And her thing is just to say, hey, you really should come do this with me. That's her hey girl message, because she's just like, hey, you need to come do this with me. She doesn't make it big. And it's amazing how some people will just go, really? You think I could do this? And you're like, yeah, I think you'd be awesome, and this is why. So I think that's probably a big thing. If you've got somebody who's a chicken lister, sit there and think, really, why do you think they would be good at the business? And then tell them why.
That's good. I had, just to throw this in there, Lisa, I had one, y'all saw my newest girl that joined is young, like you're talking about, Rachael. And what's funny is she was our babysitter, and she was in college and kind of back and forth. And I told her that. I'm like, girl, I want you on my team. Like, you'd be so good at this 2 years ago. 2 years ago. And so we have been back and forth. Literally, there would be 6 months that would go by that I wouldn't even mention Plexus. We would talk. I always text her, hey girl, especially at holidays and stuff like that. I miss you, thinking about you, love you. And she finally came back to me about Plexus specifically, because I had already put it in there. She knew I wanted her on my team, you know. So, but 2 years. So I think it's just important to know, if they're a dream teamer, you just plan on them joining your team, but you just let God take care of when that happens. You know, like Rachel's talking about, you let that door open when it opens, because when it opens, they're going to be totally ready. They already know that you want them. Hopefully. I mean, you know, get that out there. So I think that's really awesome that you said that, because that's exactly what happened in my situation. But it was 2 years later. Yours is happening before that.
It doesn't take me 2 years to convince her.
Exactly. No, it totally won't. But anyway, well, Rachel, thank you so much for being on the call. I know that they loved having you on. And I know a lot of us had bad weather, so there were a lot of people who couldn't get on. But anyway, they will watch the recording. So thank you so much. And I'm going to
stay safe.